on that day, was it your understanding that if you saw a sign from the city of Miami Beach that said no firearms, that meant no firearms were allowed there?
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
Repeat the question?
Was it on June 24th, 2018, did you believe that if there was a sign saying no firearms posted, that could be applied to anybody to kick them off for having a firearm?
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
I believe so, if it says no firearms, but at the end of the day, our concern was more of worrying about the citizens and our safety.
Okay. We'll get to citizen concerns and your safety in a minute. I'm asking you about signs and your understanding at the time.
I understand.
So on that morning when you went on that pier, your understanding of Florida law, city ordinances was if there's a sign that says no firearms, it means no firearms.
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
Once again, we're going by what the park ranger is telling to my recollection.
Okay. So you were relying on the park rangers' statements to you that firearms were not allowed on the pier.
Objection to form.
At the end of the day, no, I'm taking the objection that there's men with firearms on a pier in a public park with beachgoers and families and children.
Okay. So you take objection to the fact that there were men on the pier with firearms.
Objection to form.
I don't understand your question. Can you repeat
You said
it?
at the end of the day, I take objection to the fact that there were men on the pier with firearms. Wasn't that what you just said?
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
So you're telling me, just rephrase the question because I'm a little...
Okay. Did I understand that you just testified that you took objection that day to the fact that there were men on the pier with firearms?
Objection to form.
You can answer the question.
If I take if there's an objection
Did
to
you
men?
have, yes, sir. Did you have an objection to the fact there were men on the pier with firearms?
So you're saying if I object to men having firearms on the pier?
Yes, sir.
Objection to form.
I would, because I'm concerned for the safety of citizens.
Okay. So you believed that firearms should not be on the pier that day?
Objection to form.
At the end of the day, once again, I'm going to elaborate. I'm going to state like I stated previously.
Okay.
Our concern is for the safety of the people in the park.
And do you believe
we have to investigate when we're called with men with firearms?
Okay. Officer, I'm not asking you about...
No, I'm just doing...
Not asking you about investigating.
Sorry again.
The question I'm asking is, you indicated just now that what I understood your testimony to be, and I just want to make sure it's clear for the record. Do you believe that there is a safety concern when men have guns on a pier in public?
Yes, there is a safety concern.
Why is there a safety concern when men have guns in public, Officer Garcia?
Because it's the world we live in today. We just had the Parkland shooting. We had a man walk into stores in El Paso and shoot people. Mind you, again, this park has beachgoers on one side, has families and kids in the park right next door, and you have cruise ships who go in and out with tourists on board. How am I not to believe there's terrorists with the world that we're in today, sir?
Okay.
Or at the time also of the incident.
Do you understand that citizens in Florida have certain civil rights?
Yes.
Okay. Were you trained in the police academy that people have civil rights that you're not allowed to violate even as a police officer?
To my recollection, yes.
You were taught that?
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
Okay. Were you taught that there is a civil right in the state of Florida to own and possess firearms?
A right to own firearms?
To own and possess firearms?
Yes.
You were taught that?
Yes, to my recollection, if I'm not mistaken.
But you were not taught, if I understood your earlier testimony correct, you were not taught anything about concealed carry licenses and citizens' rights to have firearms on their person in public in regard to a concealed carry license?
Objection to form.
I can't remember at the time because they did go over a lot of curriculum with firearms being concealment and dealing with criminals like you asked earlier.
Okay.
But I can't remember everything that went over.
As you sit here today, do you think there was anything you did wrong in how you handled the incident that morning?
No.